All right, hey, Beyond Symptoms Lab folks. I have some good news, which is that you have some data to work with here for your psychophysics data, your borderlands data. And they are in this Excel sheet, which I just made this morning. I had done this once before when you had run the borderlands task about 256 times. Now you run it 637 times as a group. So good job. That's a lot of times. And we have a lot of data. So let me just show you real quick how that was made. I made this program in MATLAB that opened up all the files that you saved. For each one that it opened up, I made a row in an Excel sheet. And for each one that it opened up, first of all, I calculated the mean accuracy for each contrast and each presentation time. Remember, we had a bunch of contrasts and a bunch of presentation times when you ran the borderlands task. So I calculated the average accuracy for, like, for example, 1% contrast and 33 millisecond presentation time. And then I saved this big row of data with all the different presentation times and contrast. See how accuracy has all these different slots in it. One for contrast, one for presentation time. And it made this big long row, and then also saved the hertz that was running when you ran the test, just to make sure it was 120, and also the number of trials you ran when you ran the borderlands. And then I saved it using this command called XLS write. So that's enough detail for that. Whoops. Where'd you go? This one's the one you want. So then this is the Excel sheet that was produced by that. And you can see the file name here is really important. I used the file name. I used a little function here that says it searches for whether it contains the word big. And basically, if it contains the word big, it says true in this column. If it doesn't contain the word big, it says false. So in other words, it's the small condition. So then I sorted by that column, which is column D, and there you go. You have all the trues are at the bottom. See, all the big guys are at the bottom, and all the small guys are at the top. So that's really important. It's to remember, which one you're looking at. So then over here, you have this is the hertz right here, is column E, and the number of trials is column F. So you can scroll down, just make sure. I mean, basically, there's a few times that were 85 hertz instead of 120, but basically they're all 120, so don't really worry about that. Don't really worry about the number of trials either, because they're all 120 trials as well. Coincidentally, the hertz and the number of trials are basically the same for every run, except every now and then you see one that like only ran for 60 trials or something, but whatever. I would just use them all. I think it's fine, especially since the vast majority are 120 trials and 120 hertz. So then, here's the deal, is the contrast I wrote out for you on the first row. So 0.01 is 1% contrast, and that is what these first 5 columns of data are. They're the 1% contrast data. And they are the 5 presentation times that exist are what is represented for the 5 different columns of 1% data. So in other words, this is the 16 millisecond presentation time, this is the 33 millisecond presentation time, this is the 66, the 133, and the 266 for the 1% contrast. And then that repeats. Let me just copy this in here while I'm thinking of it. See that? So you got now even for the 80%. Hey, Kayla. Come on in. I'm just recording a video for class, but have a seat. I'll be right with you. So this is, 80% is at the end, and you have your different presentation times. So that's really all you need to know. The other thing, well, there's a couple other things probably, to tell you the truth. So if you scroll all the way down, you'll see these things. This is me just helping you out real quick. I made these formulas which take the average of all the, if I scroll up far enough, you'll start to see some blue cells. See, this is the stuff that is in this average here, which is the small guys. This is the average accuracy here for the small guys for that presentation time in contrast that this column represents. And then this is the accuracy for the next one and the next one and the next one. Notice for the first 5, for the 1% contrast condition, nobody can see anything. They're all pretty close to chance, maybe getting up a little bit, but basically nobody can see anything for the small guy, for the borderlands. But for the big guy, they can. Isn't that interesting? 95% accuracy at the same contrast. For these last 2 presentation times, whereas you couldn't see it at all when it was small. So that's kind of cool. But this is what you're going to look at, is you're basically going to look at the accuracy at each contrast and presentation time. And you want to make a graph for each one. And I can actually make the graphs for you real quick. But what I need you to do is figure out which are your data. This is the key. So you need to go through this whole sheet I'm going to send you, which is called Borderlands Master. And all you need to do is delete all the data that aren't your subjects. So for example, like whoever had subject 2319, or like the 255s, I think this is the cortisol people. Like you guys are going to just look for the cortisol data and make sure you don't delete those, but you do delete everything else. And once you've done that, then I can kind of, and when I say delete, I mean go like this. Right at the edge there, you click on that, you select the whole column, then you right click and you say delete. In fact, you can do it though for many at once. So let's say I was the cortisol group and I had these 255 guys I wanted to keep. I would select, I'd keep going down until I see another 255. I'm so scared that I'm actually going to delete one, so I'm looking very carefully. Was that a 255? It was not. I'm going to keep going. A 255. Okay, so I go all the way to the next 255, then I right-click, or you might have to command-click, I think, for a Mac, and you say delete. Boom, they're gone, okay? And you really have to do it that way. There's probably another way you could do it where you clear the cells by pressing backspace or something. Don't do that. Do it the way I showed you. And we'll select these cells at the top, too, real quick. Going to the top. There were no more 255 skis, so we're going to hit delete there. And we just kind of keep going through until we have only our data left. This is for the smalls. You'll obviously have a batch for the bigs too. And then send it back to me once you've done that, okay? And I'll bang out some graphs for you because I know time is short, okay? Or, if you want to fiddle around in Excel, God bless you. And you can use these averages here, which will compute your averages for you. And you can make graphs based on these. But I already made a program that makes the graphs real quick, so I'm happy to let you use that. Just send me the Excel sheet back once you've analyzed the data. Okay, cool. Well, very exciting, and good luck with your analysis.